Okay, so I'm going to do a rehearsal on the 1 hour chart on the British pound. I think I'm back like 3 years ago. I got a 20 pip grid, which I'm going to post as a comment. So the code will be the comment, and you just have to cut and paste that into an indicator in MetaTrader. Open up one of the indicators and then rename it 20 pip grid, and then you'll be able to see the code there, what's creating the 20 pips. If you can, it's pretty simple code. I guess learn the code uh, is actually a viable thing. Uh, but the 20 pip grid, and I'm using a 3 pip spread. I should have chose a 20 pip spread to be more precise. I mean, when I say 20, I meant 2 pip spread because it's 20 inside the code there. Five decimal broker. And talking about these calculations of statistically, if you win 60% of the time, you should be able to make X. I mean, if you were to be right 30% of the time, you could make a mint, a lot of money, because what if you just lost on nano lots? Like, so you're trading nano lots, you got a $100 position. I think you can trade that at Oanda. You can trade that there. You can trade like a buck. There was a broker, and I've seen them all. I mean, I've seen 200 brokers out there, and there was one that was kind of had some interesting software because it was like you could just trade one lot. I can't remember the name, and then they changed their name, but they had the coolest little app, and it was on my Windows phone, and or it was like a widget on the internet there, and it would have the news come out. And they'd have a bell go off 5 minutes before news, and I thought, well, it's so cute. And then some guy would come on, like he stumbled to a microphone, and he'd say, "Yeah, the jobs report is so and so in Australia." And I'm like, "This is like wacky." And I thought, all these kind of things that people try to get hold of, thinking, "Well, I got an edge here because somebody told me once you need an edge." And so, well, the edge for me is going to be, I'm trying to make 20 pips. Now, I don't really care too much where I get it from. So you could get it from a breakout of a 10 pip range, and it breaks out and you made 20 pips. So the first burst out of the gate. And maybe you do have a take profit that's pre-programmed there. So all the money management should take place, I figure, up front. Yes, you would want to manage a trade if you're really up big and you run trailing stops. But then the question is, why don't you just get out? Why not just peel off a ticket? Because they're going to stop you out of that one ticket of that basket. So I trade these large baskets of 1Ks, and it's like, hey, I found myself in a 250K, and I'm like kind of excited because I know, well, that thing must be, wow, that actually did drop 200 pips today. I can't believe it fell into this giant abyss like the pound's doing right here on this playback. So I'm playing back MetaTrader with a 1 hour chart, and I'm just playing out the trades. Now I don't know what's going to happen here. So I put these two boxes here before this market. When this thing was trading, I knew there was a hole below us. And I said, this is a great setup for my order banks. So I put one in here in my mind's eye. Now this could be, we've already scalped out of something in that. And here's where it's really going to be critical is that if you can take the 10 pips that exists here, I'm going to assume that's 10 pips, that wick. And if the spread was at 2 and the grid is at 20, that's 10% cost per these boxes, right? And the cost of doing business does matter, but not if you're making 80% right trades now, because the business doesn't matter so much because you're just nailing it on every trade, right? So if you just manipulate these boxes, now this one here is supposed to be my exit for this bank. This is another buy bank, but if I put a hard stop, so here's you have to have a little bit of imagination, a little bit to trade because you got to imagine the narrative that you're going to see play out. If I have either And you can't do it on the drag and drops unless you keep dropping this different kinds of tickets here. But if you could have a one click that, and this is another thing. If I got double click scripts, lately I've just been doing these optimal drops, optimal area drop entry instead of precision. There's no precision needed in trading. In fact, I just don't even know how people can assume the spread's going to be. If the spread goes to 10 pips, I'm telling you, you're not getting filled on those tickets. If the spread gets wide, it may look like on the chart you got filled. But what if the spread is at 20 pips when we're dipping down below this structure here? And this is going back to if you're if you care, like now this is the low of that day, and this is the low of the day. And if you bought, I don't want to, but I will. If you had bought this 40 pip window, now I'm just imagining you could afford to buy every pip, and people say, "How are you buying every pip?" Well, it's not like I'm buying every tenth of a pip. That would be ridiculous. But if I bought a 20K in this 20 pip window, every pip, and now I'm going to buy every half pip in this window, and I've laid 2 order banks in there. I could have put this trade on. Well, the weirdest thing about trading is that I could have put these limits in and let them last for a day, and I think they might have expired. When you drop a 1-day script, it literally is 24 hours time ticking. It's not like the end of the day. I think I would have just got filled. Now, if I drop the daily tickets when the market's here, I can tell you they would have got filled. This is a daily script. And look, it refilled again, another retest. And when do we ever get a retest? And when are we to get a triple bottom? And I'm just going to kind of just jump into analysis here, but go from trading. So this is the big gap between execution of real trades, of stuff that makes sense, logical trades. And this is, once again, there's nothing magical here. We see, and this is 3 years ago on a 1-hour chart playing back. You can practice all weekend. You can be so ready for the market to open, and with all the confidence of a goober, put a sell limit on these treetops at the 20-yard line. So you can make your 20 pips. You can make your 40 pips. Is that enough pips for you? Now this is the full auction in golf. Now it did not take out the high of this day because technically the high of the day is Asia. You may not see that price. And for whatever kind of order block, whatever thing, you just, and look at this. This thing went a little bit above the 20-yard line. Here it never gets to the 20-yard line. Is it still a good trade? You're trapped in a 40 pip window for hours on end of nothing. There are orders and algos and people and all sorts of shit running sell stops here for the goober entry. And when I say goober, I mean I'm just going to by default, some guy commented, default entry short, right? That is a great trade. It doesn't mean that if you don't get out of this 40 pips of win here, you're already back to where you got in. Here comes the confirmation traders. I'm talking about winning, or this is the balance area or the order block or the pivot. You get to watch ICT on that thing. See, they're nicking the wicks on this little, you've got order sells in this little cove up here. Sell limits. It's a different style of trading than sitting there, babysitting the market, waiting for the market to come up into the 20-yard line, pull the trigger at the market. And you'll realize that if you put a buy limit below this lonely wick, they come into the 20 pip trap. You got a ticket on every one with a hard stop here, but in the precision drops, you couldn't do that because you can't write. I don't know how to write a script that drops. Maybe you do, where you drop it and it calls out a stop hard. There probably is. If anybody knows how to code, that would be the next level, where you drop right now, when you drop a grid on my grid drops, it has the same stop on every ticket. So you end up with, but it wouldn't matter because you would say in that instance that you could start the drop here and it's going to fill, and then the ticket that doesn't get stopped out, right? There's stops out here that are like really like end of the world stops. But in a purist vision of, I'm going to buy a 20 pip window with a hard stop, and then I'm going to cash out maybe to the top of that window. The top ticket's like, you know what? Maybe it's designed to make just a little bit more pips. Now, when you write a double click, or the ones I have where you just drop it and it just says, buy me 20 pips deep, that is something that I think a robot could do, because that's a lot of drops, especially if you consider, in other words, it's not, in other words, a double click that's a hard coded, buy me 20 to 40 pips deep for the next 8 hours, 6 hours, and you do different versions of that. It is very efficient, but it becomes, unless you keep track, you don't know how many, like, I don't know how many tickets I got in there, so I have to be very careful not to go, oh, that's fucking, let's just get in and double click. If you start doing that, make sure every time you click, it's a different trade plan. If you start stacking up, you're defeating the purpose of trading 1Ks or in nano lots or 10Ks instead of the standard lot issue of saying, I've got an optimal trade entry, I'm going to load the wagon. Now, you could say, and I don't think I have this kind of, I'm not that guy. Maybe there's a guy out there, and I'm sure there is. He says, well, the optimal trade entry is I'm waiting for them to take out the low of this day by half a pip. I will buy here. And of course, maybe his exit is in some, he's thinking, well, once they take out the high of this day or the high of this day, I'm going to get out. But it never happens. But if you had a 20 pip stop on that, right there, you just made your 40, your 60, your 80 pips. And you traded super big on that. When's the next time that trade sets up? I guess it's setting up now. And so what I'm doing is I'm saying, spread the risk. Here, I'm already cashed out to the top of this box, maybe. I've already taken 10 pips. If we put a 10 pip winner in there with a 20%, with a 2 pip spread, we're paying 20% for our trade. But if we're right 80% of the time, because we're only trying to make 10 pips, then it makes sense to scalp that, what just happened here. So let me go back to the real live chart, because we could talk about all of the wicks on here, on and on and on about, like, look at this thing. They just nicked this wick here at the 20-yard line and then rip 40 pips. How's that not a good trade? But we don't quite make it back to here and nick this wick, but it doesn't make this not a bad trade, right? And don't forget, every broker's got a different chart. They might have nicked the wick on this chart and bid and not on the other one, especially on the ask. So a broker that has a bad spread, you're not going to be, your system won't run good on there, because their spreads are so shitty that this may look like a good setup, but this might be Asia and the spread might be wide, especially on the breakout. So here, if you try to trade the Asian breakout here, oh, look, it's breaking out. So I put a sell stop here and I put a buy stop here. Look, I'm up on the trade. I'm up, like, it looks like you're up about 20 pips, but maybe you just got like a fill at the 20. And now, and of course, this is a fixed spread through the whole playback, so another kind of, but here we're down. We just fell out of bed in Asia now, and we're down. We're up on this trade. Let me speed up the playback of the chart. So what you're trying to do here is imagine, could you handle this trade psychologically, and try to imagine your whatever size you're in here. But you're going to still have to, if you want to reduce risk, you're just going to have to work harder and trade more. But then trading just becomes like, wearing 3 masks. You just get used to it. You're like doing them up to 5 masks. Look at this fucker. He's growing gills, this motherfucker. He's swimming. And he's like, it's so funny because it's going to become a big joke pretty soon. And I can see the corners turning already, because it's so sad and cliche that November 3rd happens to be the punctuation mark on the psychodrama bullshit awards that everybody's enduring the the theater of I care. I'm wearing a mask. I'm not going to murder you. So I just stay home, stay safe. My opinion. But as long as I'm just having to buy stuff online now, but thank God it's here because I don't need it. I don't want to. I mean, besides, it's not like people are wearing. Listen, going on Publix risk already. You know how many people are out there like you're going, what are you like? Really? There's not even a dress code, but there's a dress code for masks. But you're wearing that shit to the fucking store, your pajamas? Get the fuck out of here, and stop it with the If you're in one of those carts, electric carts, you should be wearing 10 masks. They duct tape your fucking head. Just let's see what happens. Um, let's do a little, before they, just in case, right? With a little bleach on top, please. Could you soak my mask in bleach? I'll be in the other room. I'm going to speed up the robot now. So here, we're going to do hyper playback. I'm going to try to read off my trades to you, or what I suspect would be my trades here in the British pound. Okay, so I hope I scalped out at least 10 pips here. Now I feel like, what size am I in? Do I have too much exposure down here? Should these things last all week? Now, if this lasts all week, I would say, okay, I'm probably just going to drop it every, but imagine that you just were so lazy. You could not get to your platform but once a week. If that was the case, then I'd be like, well, let's put some down here. Let's go like, for a week I'll put another slot. Now if I pass every other slot, and I have a hard stop on each one, every time this goes crashing down, it's a bottomless pit of possibilities of how you want to do it, but that would go flat. It would drop another 20 pips. You pick up this area, so every other 20 pips you got a bank of tickets. You free up margin. If you're trading multiple currency pairs, you're waiting for the euro to crash now, and I can't bring up the euro, but I imagine the euro's selling off right now, and it's coming into some structure, void, new lows. Now here, I've already taken off my 20 pip trades have taken off. How you saturate that box down there is going to be where you just, like right now I could say, well, I'm up on the day. Look at that. Fuck. I'm out of half of my position maybe now by now. It's how you scale out. It's what you do. Now, the seller should come in here, logically, and it'll probably back off a little bit here. If I've got half the position off now, I say, you know what? And this is how I'm doing it now because I used to trade at the market because I thought I knew where the market was going, in the sense that, I think this is a trap. I think we could go up 40 pips from here and start to go after Asia highs. In my dream mind, I'm like, dude, if I had a big position on it, I'm like, oh yeah, we're coming up to this. IC2 told me there's an order block up here, so I'm going to go for that. And No Nonsense doesn't understand what an order block is. It's so funny, the contrast between No Nonsense. I said the two extremes are No Nonsense indicator-based approach to deciphering the magical chaos of nature, and the institutional volume pushed order block theory of microstructures and fractal algorithms of price flow, deep pool icebergs, and all this stuff, and on and on. Okay, now I'm seeing it's down a little bit on the hour, and also I have my market orders ready. So in the toolbox, I have limits, market orders, the stops. I'm not gonna do stop entry because if I am in an Asian session, I'm just gonna guess on the breakout there. I'm gonna say it looks like if I'm gonna be a seller in Asia, when I see this thing come up, and this is not a great structure because you kind of take out this low, but this rally, let's sell. Let's anticipate we are going to go through here. And the other buyers down there, and that might be your trade. You made 40 pips with a very tight stop in Asia. You're out of the trade. You're done. Now for me, it's going to be, I can't wait to see what happens when I take this out. So I probably will get in here on something early here. And this is psychological because I want to be in. I just can't resist these plunges and these insane. When I see this, I go, you know what? I'm buying here and I'm buying here. I'm going to buy more here, but I'm buying here because this will be my, later on, my 20 and 40 pip winner. And I just like the feeling. It's about a feeling. So if I'm buying here and then here and then here, I really start to pour it on. And here below the 20, and here I've got orders that never filled. And this is the dry powder world of you got to have something. Okay, now pull back a little bit on the 1 hour, buy with a tight stop, buy hard. I got a ticket ready. So what I do is I have market orders with tight stops, wide stops. It depends what's going on. But I mean, boom, boom, boom. So I'm probably in an 80K right now here. And if it makes it to that 20-yard line, which is the floor of here, so we rejected, the sellers did not come in here like they're supposed to. This is not a breakout. This is a trap. This is a fake out, whatever. And this is my exit prices. And here I'm going to go flat on the whole trade. And that's it. Now I'll come back in with limits again. Rinse and repeat. So let me speed it up. And so this is a nice feature of, the nice feature of the MT4. Now the seller should come in right about here, but actually we got to see how they behave at this floor. If you're going to hold the rest of the thing, and maybe you are going to hold the whole position for 40 pips up. Now that's it depends. Now this is London. We're getting ready for London Open here. We can still go down. If you're flat now, you can have the luxury of coming in with limits. We go with their 30 speed. This is going to be pretty good speed. We'll be able to, and you can also see the speed of these drops. Every tick playback, British pound. So right here is going to be, maybe I go flat, and if I've got some targets, and this is once you start to expand your targets inside that bank, instead of just trying to make my 40 pips, I'm going to make 60, which would be take us to the top of Asian session. You don't need a 1 minute chart, by the way. It's kind of a little bit too much because I'm sure there's a double bottom on this wick on the 1 minute chart. I'm going to tell you there's probably a beautiful Gartley in the 30-second chart. Okay, so boom, I'm out. Look at all the activity. You can watch the playback here. See all the bouncy bounces? That's people getting the fuck out. And then people going the other way. That's your volume. You can see there's volume because it's moving. I tell you that the playback and strategy tester, if you go back years ago and you could run this, and this thing about just watch the 1 hour chart, you can learn everything you need to know here. You lay all your trades out. What are you going to do? Right? Isn't that the old thing? What would you do? They give you a problem. Now, what would you do? And you could have gone short there and told me, oh, it's breaking down. And maybe you are short, but the guy that goes short here, his stop is probably fucking here. And his target's like, goddamn, I don't even know. This is the 1 hour chart. This is plenty of money. You don't even have to be there. Don't forget, this trade that's cashing out right now, did you have to be there in the morning to pull the trigger on that? Maybe you want it to be. So that's all psychological. Is this the completion of a channel going down? Probably for somebody. But really, to me, it's the trap below here in auction. Now, the sellers came in. Look at them pull that back. The trade's over. Now, in the next hour, if it comes down a little bit, this is going to be that, are we going up to here now? And then if you did a 20 pip walk up 40, down 20, the perfect trade, right? Up 20, down 40, up 20, down 40. Isn't that the perfect? Oh, man, I love those markets. Channel trader, right? The whole thing. Does it always play out? No, it's coming down again. Like, I'm out flat. I got my buy limit banks in all over again. Rinse and repeat. Right there, and that whole thing, it's over. See? Wait for it to come back here if you're waiting and babysitting. But if you just cashed out, you come back, you go, oh, look at that. Or maybe you're still holding because you got greedy. You're like, oh, it is going to Asia. It is going to Asia. ICT says it's got to go. You can't. You can't do it because here, okay, I just retested. Now I got orders here. And now I'm thinking, I just made more money. I got money to burn here. You got to have money to burn a little bit because you got to what if it just goes like this? And people have asked me, what if it just goes like that? Well, I guess, you knew. It wasn't like a surprise that they shot at you because you shot at them. You shot at the police. What are they shooting back at me for? What's going on here? What the hell? What the hell? I thought I could do it. I thought I was free American. I could just do whatever I want. Yeah, I guess you just, as long as you wear a mask, I think you can do whatever the fuck you want, right? I wear a mask when trading, by the way. That's another thing that I haven't gotten sick. I mean, this is a up to $5 trillion day market. You got to be careful with all these fucking people in front of you here. So look at that. Buy the retest. Plus it's down. My market systems say buy because it's down. I mean, this is really crude thinking, but I got a 20 pip stop. What do I care? I know what I'm risking. $2, right? On a 1K. The question is, how much did you buy on this thing down here? And this is a confirmation. Breakout. Oh, the sellers got in here. They think it's going down here. What do you think they're thinking? It's a real breakout, dude. Come on, this thing's going to China. It's going to Wuhan. It's going to go get educated, and then I'm just going to buy new lows all the way down. It's like, how much am I going to buy? Well, I'm going to buy more down here than I buy here, and maybe the trade's over for the day. Depending how you size this and how much money you're trying to make. So in the end, how much money are you trying to make? How much is it costing you? If the spread is at 20 pips, then you couldn't even trade on this 1 hour chart. Okay, they're coming back into my buy limits. The sellers are right. They got in here. Internal microstructures. It's not worth all that thinking. Besides, tomorrow's another day. If you go out into the future here, and now they're retapping my pendings that if I did not delete those pendings, they're retapping them. So if built into this, you could have walked away from this trade and auto cashed out if your targets were set at 20 pips off of some of these tickets. Now you're going to get into another 20K. You're still holding the 20K you never cashed out because you had this dream target. Now you got that flexibility. It's down. You just pulled the trigger at the end of the hour at the market orders. Plus, they're making new lows. Well, what a nice bonus. New lows. It's just amazing how if you go against the breakout trader structurally on these, there's always the fractal of the auction within the auction. So are you going to trade that micro auction? Or are you going to trade the big giant swings? Or are you going to trade both and trade around them? So here, look at that. Just made myself 10 pips. Even with the 3 pip spread, I bought below here all the way down. That last ticket that filled, 8 pips, right? Every little bit helps. And then still waiting for another hour to go by. If it's down another hour and they haven't filled my quota of limits, and this is the thing about the sizing, the limits are there. And if you don't think that's enough, you're like, okay, I'm getting the hour systems, and maybe there's a I guess if there's a EA out there, this is an EA. I think that might be a nice EA. You turn it on when you want to buy every time it's down at the market in the morning. You go, you know what? I'm going to buy every plunge here. Or you suspect that, and that's, in other words, you're picking a buy bot as opposed to a sell bot. I think that would be the answer for that. In other words, it's like you hired somebody in the prop firm that they're good at buying and somebody's good at selling. And that's the thing. Look, I'm getting up my limits now. Look at that. And we knew this could be a cascade down because look at this, right? Look at this hole we're filling. And if they stop me out of my hard stop, this is also the hard stop theory of life. If they stop the hard stop, I'm flat. Now I'm picking up buy limits. Now you've got to be thinking, no, we got to buy all the way down in here and just really go all in. And every time this thing drops, the buy bot says, oh, you're down, how many pips right now? In 1 hour, buy with a 80 pip stop. And the limits are getting filled on top of it. And maybe you've got a half-hour bot running that's buying every time it's down 18 pips. It buys with an 18 pip stop and these kind of things like this, because that's just what you would naturally do. You're just trying to replicate what a human would do. Because the robots that are heavily filtered with, I'm waiting for MACD and all these things to queue up, I don't think so. It has to be a crude thing here. Now, we've already scalped, as you can see, our 20 pips off of some of that. Look at that end of the hour. Look how right that behaved just before the end of the hour and then slammed down. That was incredible. That means that somebody at the end of the hour bought and they made 20 pips just before the close of that candle. If this data is correct, now they're coming into massive buy. I think I actually did this video before, but this is a scenario where You'll see stuff like this. And of course, this is only one day in the British pound. Buying more. And this is going to just, you got to cash out at the end of, and let's see if we get any kind of reaction at the end of the hour here. But yeah, it's amazing. You can see how this 1 hour chart behaves. Okay, I know I got filled at that 20-yard line. Even if I put in 1Ks every 20 pips. Now think about putting in 1Ks every 20 pips with a 100 pip hard stop on the whole rack. Is that risky to you? And what if they were 10Ks? And what if you are going to get out of this trade in 3 days from now when you suspect we could be back to this massive floor, and you're going to tell ICT would go, yeah, that is the entry right there. Internal microstructures right there. You know, it's just amazing how much money is in pre-planning the trade as opposed to this thing's crashing and you're selling into this panic. That'd be by the Biden mentorship. Yeah, we're selling today. It's down. Didn't you know we broke out here? Another thing about the breakout traders, if they sold that breakout, hopefully they got that early profits to take their 20, their 40, their 60s. Are they really going to tell me that they sold here on a sell stop on the dailies? They put a stop in here and their target's down in Disneyland. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there going, wow, look at this. Look at these psycho cases. And why is this market down so fast, so hard in 1 hour? Because look at this void it just filled, for God's sakes. I don't know how far back that goes. And if that goes back, if this is 5 years back here, look out. I mean, this will just keep tanking and tanking, especially if this is a 10-year low and now you're coming into, it does matter. So if you didn't scale up your 20 pips off of that one, stand back, and here, you're just nothing you can do. Now, if you aren't in big enough yet, you're just waiting for it to come down here more, and you're like, man, I'm just not, I'm under trading it. You know, it's as bad as over trading. I'm under trading, so let's wait for, well, what's going to happen now, you know? So these are all considerations, and maybe you're not even trading this day, and maybe you missed it, or maybe you did sell here, and maybe you already made your money because you trade breakouts. Just stupid breakouts. It is a bottomless pit of what you could do. And this is only one part of the puzzle. You know, this idea that you're going to dole out parts of a puzzle, what an adorable approach to salesmanship. It's like when Disney and Sony, I think the same thing, for a limited time only, you can get the DVD of Bambi, and then we're going to put it back in the vault. Oof, really? I better get it. I mean, that salesmanship's incredible. But I know people like to, so if I was selling my scripts, I'm sure I could sell them, but then I'd have to debug them. In other words, I'd have to make the comments make sense to the script, and that's a whole lot of hours. If you were to make the comments, so when you drop them in the platform, you'd see on your terminal the comments say the name of the trade, or even, I think you put about 30 characters, 30 letters in there. You could describe the whole what that trade's about. You could have that dump out to a spreadsheet, which see what the best trades are. I'm sure they do in the prop rooms. Who's the guy that's good at buying these plunges? Get him over here. Oh, look at this thing. You really going to stand in front of that with and just keep buying? Now, every hour I say I would buy. And the robot, if you turned on the buy bot, and he's like, oh, yeah. Because look at the buy bot. Look how much money the buy bot made you over here. He bought this with a wide stop. He bought this collapse, and it'll be a 4-hour bot. I can't go to the 4-hour chart, but he'd be like, oh, we just nailed that trade. Look at that winning trade. Big plunge. Big plunge. Made money there. Big plunge. Made money. This plunge? Okay, this is a different kind of plunge because look how massive it is. Meanwhile, they're filling my limits here. Let me speed it up to hyper speed now because I get more impatient. The older I get, the more impatient I get. The more angry I get too. Just in case. All right, so hyperspeed 1-hour chart. This is called speed trading. It's like speed shopping, but different. And now you got to imagine you're way out. You're like, holy God. My market bot is the one that's based on if I've gotten too many limits. Now I'm going to put a rack of limits in here because I'm pissed. So anger trading is another strategy. Oh, really? Fuck that. And actually, look at the market bot has just cleaned up on that. Now I know it looks like, wow, that's a terrible trade, but is it? Now for the guy that can afford like a 200 pip stop, then they're dumb good trades there. But you got to get out. At the end of that hour, you got to maybe even go flat. You're like, you know what? I was down 30%. I'm up 50. Let's get out. It's too volatile. And that's another consideration, right? Because look at that. The sellers are coming in at that structure. Let me zoom into the structure there. And the big fallacy in all these people that make these claims about the markets is this is a lot of pips. This isn't. The breakout traders that got in here wish they had targets down here right now. Well, there's probably a Fibonacci extension down here somewhere, right? Oof. Let's hope you're not counting on that. But look at this 1 hour. So we zoom into the madness here. I did the big zoom out there to see why are we tanking so hard. And you'd have to ask you if you were on a 5-minute chart right now, why are we tanking so hard? Oh, 10-year lows, 40-year lows. How about they just unpegged the currency from the it's just amazing what could come out. Like I said, you could have an assassination. The markets would go nuts. And by the way, just in case this is why a lot of the brokers, I think, are set up for. So when you traded futures, you had clearinghouses and stuff, and you really had regulation because soybeans are only allowed to move like 30 cents a day. 30 cents range a day, so 15 cents was the limit, I think, up or down, which is like $1,500 per position, or maybe So the limit moves, and 5,000 bushels, I think, allowed 15-cent move, and so when things go locked limit, it's a chance for these people to catch up, and the market's closed. This 24-hour market here in Forex is over the counter. There is no limit. There is no regulation. The euro dollar, the British pound at any moment could just rip. I don't think people realize that. And so maybe that's why the brokerage firms are like, well, we don't have a clearinghouse, so we'll just have you trade in our sandbox and we can't send your orders to the real market. Of course not. So that's why the spreads are wide, or there's commissions, or whatever people complain about. They're not done complaining. And me neither. But here's a seller should come in right now based on the top become bottoms trade theory right there. See, this is the bottom, just became a top. Aren't you selling? No, I'm long. I'm holding all the limits I picked up here. And I bought more down here. So, and my market bot bought this plunge and this plunge. And when he bought this one, the market bought with a tighter stop. And I do think that that's because I did run the strategy tester and run an EA, and you can go inside the settings and say buy only bot, right? So you can run a buy only side, and you'll notice that if it's a bullish bot, and you look at the data and it's bullish, you go, this thing's killing it. Now I don't know if people are doing that and how they're tricking these things to show you these amazing results, but to pick a bullish market and get a buy bot and stick it on there and just go. And of course, give you the sweet spot, the 20% move of that move. I guess that's how people are kind of rigging these. Look at this thing cleans up. Yeah, of course it does. Now the buy bot here. Now the limits are on top of this also. So having the market orders available, you could pull the trigger. This is a 1 hour chart, by the way. So here comes Asia. And nice drifty quiet, and this would be the micro order blocks down here that they stop hunt. This little lonely wick here, right? So they just buy a little bit, and I think the spread, this is you just about got filled. You could actually had your limit below here, but you don't want to be too precision. And then zoom, Even the breakout guys are like, we're up on that trade too. So all the breakout goobers trade in the Asian breakout, but they're kind of trapped here. We should see selling here, right? Pull back, put buy limits in here if you're not in, because we could come here, we could come ripping back to here. So accepting where you're at in the picture, and this is going to be the ultimate exit for everybody, we should see a huge reaction here. This is the last known floor that was really blown out. This is not a bottom that became a top. There is no, sure, on the 1 minute chart for ICT, there's like, see rot here, where'd you get in rot? Dude, seriously, how big are you trading these things, by the way? Because in the end, it's about money. You know, it's not the mileage on your car. It's how much is the price of gas, for God's sakes. I like how that's another government. Well, we got to have like carbon-free cars by the. What kind of fucking utopian madness fucking shit are you thinking of? Sellers there, crazy scalpers up in that window. Come back to this confirmation. Now, all of this structure, I mean, just blows away when you're looking at the, okay, wow, people are cashing out. I'm out. I would say I'm out. And if I'm going to go for the full tilt, back to the floor, we should see sells galore here. And boom, they're out. And they just about tagged the bottom of that ticket there. Just about. Were you there for it? And I was there. I mean, were you there for it, really? So let me see if I can get some precision on this. Let me use this box here. Did we nick this wick just a little bit? Nope. See, missed the entry. Better luck next time. Even if you got in there, where's your target, by the way? Okay, a lot of buyers back here at the starting gate, looks like. Okay, stop hunt this way now. Buy limits, buy limits, buy limits. For me, if I'm out of that whole trade or much of it, I'm going to come buy limits. Okay, just scalped out of that. Okay, more. Come into my limits. And then I got a big, fat order pack down here with 40 pip targets. And, you know, you have for play out. Okay, cashed out of something. They were added to the longs. A lot of buyers back here at the starting gate. Didn't quite make it exactly back there, but good enough, right? And the buy bot is buying. I still got the buy bot turned on, by the way, because I think this is going to be. I just want to write. And I'll have to turn the buy to manage the EA, and it's kind of being your trade assistant, I suppose. Take care of my market orders for me. That's the robot I'm trying to have built, or I guess. Is it that hard? How hard is the fucking code to write? For God's sakes, you know, you can just sell the robot. You can. This is my free idea of the day. Market's down 20 pips in an hour. Just fucking buy it. I mean, I'm sure I could tell some Biden voter how to do this. That's what I should do. Like, this Bloomberg is going to try to get these guys in jail to vote. And they're not going to all vote for Trump because they're like, you bitch. I know I'm a registered Democrat, but you're such a bitch. This guy, I don't know if it's a tax write-off. He went on this thing where he's running for president. Are you retarded? He's licking his fingers eating pizza. Okay, another chance. This is another thing is that there's so many opportunities on this chart. Look at this. Are you kidding me? Now, you could add your buy limit here going, yeah, dude. I know they're going to come back to... See, they finally came back to my structure. I knew they would. Doesn't mean it's going to go like that, by the way. And like I said, you could have been the guy that tried to get in and you missed my entry again. But imagine you're going to run double click 1 hour drops. So when the market's here, this is when I'm going to click and put in the 1 hours, the 4 hours, and I'm just going to gobble all this up. And I'm looking to make my 20. I got 20 pip to 40 pip targets to 10 pip targets. I'm not going to go for the 80 pip targets because there's so much money to be made in this ridiculousness here. Now I'm going to zoom out because the party's kind of over now and we're just going to meander here a little bit. We're waiting for the end of the day. Here's Asia's setting up. And I would say I'm going to have buy limits in this pocket and this pocket for hours, probably for 8 to 12 hours, because when London opens, we could just go rocketing back here and just do this nonsense. And since it's 80% chop and 20% drama, it's pretty much dead now. The big swing traders are still long, I suspect, and my buy bot still turned on, so it's buying for me. Asia, we break out. There should be sellers above this. Yes, there were. They nicked that wick. They pull it back. In 1 hour, they've made 20 pips. Now, my market bot buys every time it's down 20 to 40 pips to 60 pips. Maybe it locks out at, I'm sure. So my ultimate robot is, I come up with a really crude system. If the market is down from the last hour, 80 pips, 80 pips stop, right? That's just one bot. Now I got 20 of these bots, and I don't know how to integrate that into one bot, but because to turn these all on and off at the same time, I guess you could have. See, that's the thing. Wow, look at that! Look at that reaction there. Amazing. So once you come up to this hole, these holes are forming all the time. So look at this vacuum's forming here. And if you were there to do, so the Asian breakout, right? And then the trap here, a London, whatever. Here's the other place to go long. And once again, you take out this lonely wick. You kind of got to see that this is going to be ripe for the pickings for that. But the market bot gets it right again. You're down 30 pips. It puts it in a 30 pip stop, looking to make 30. Or maybe looking to make 20. So a team of buy bots, I don't know how to in unison turn those on and off, but if there's a way that you can, if one EA can take care of all those different instances of, okay, it's down 15 pips, it's coming in with a ticket with a 15 pip stop, and just in the crude version to make 15 pips. It's taking care of those crude trades for you. And if it could do it where it can do 10 of these in one bot, so it does have the 20, 30, 40, 50 pip trigger points, that if it's greater or less than, so between 20 to 30 pips, it's going to execute. That's the window of trigger. It calls that bot up. And, here's the way I guess you do it, is you just close the whole platform. And when you turn on, bring up the platform, all the EAs are activated. So I guess that's the way to do it. For the whole day, let's turn on the platform that's got nothing but buy bots on this one pair. And it's on a different computer, so this is why you need multiple computers really to trade like that. It's like prop firm, because you got that robot that running on a tablet. Look, I just almost nicked the wick here, but once again, you don't have to come up there and nick the wick for that to be a good place to sell. Climbing out of the hole here. Look at all this craziness here, right? So it's very hard territory and if you're waiting, if you haven't got out of the trade, you've had 3 chances to get out at this price through that hole in golf, and we're kind of banging up on the floor, I suspect, from the floor we fell through. We're trying to get enough fuel here and kind of white coughing accumulation. And the buy bot just got in here with a tighter stop. So I do think that is a viable thing to have. Oh, you know what? I want to be in buy mode today. And market things in the limits. That's a more difficult trade, really, because you're going to pick areas and I'm going to buy everything below this. When the market's here, I know this is going to be a ripe, fresh retest. What do they call it? Rollback. They call that at Walmart. And that's just these are just crude ideas. I mean, these are nothing sophisticated, nothing really technical. I think technical analysis attracted a lot of people to trading because they thought it's so technical. And look at this closing. Comes right back to that. And I'm sure somebody's saying, yep, came back, retested on close, buy. Of course, they put a stop in here, I suppose, but I got a buy limit there. See, that's when I said, you know what, that's my buy limit. You bought there, and you put your stop where again? Thanks, just bought it. Right, so that's the whole thing about one ticket trading, how just ridiculous it is. Oh yeah, I got there. I heard about this top become a bottom thing. I tried it, doesn't work. Oh, I just made money off you. Sorry. And you know what? At the end of the day, the guy that put the stop in here, he's like, I like that system. It works great for me. I don't know what you're talking about. I got target up here. I'm just waiting. What are you talking about? I don't know. It's just, I was in so big and I did the math. So to risk 2% of my account, I decided, well, 2% of my account would be a stop here. If I buy here, this is a perfect setup and this is 2% of my account. That's really good what you've done. That's good that you've done that. It's good. Wish him in the cornfield. It's good what you've done there. Real good what you've done there. And once again, the swing traders nailed it. Oh, they're like, oh, thank you so much. I hope the breakout traders got their little scalpings in before the big enchilada move. I want that Latino vote. It's enchilada move. I got some hot sauce right here in my pocket. Let me zoom out. Oh, major cash outs. Oh, everybody's getting out there. Oh, that's why you see this drama. It shouldn't be too hard to figure out structurally what's going on there. Big cash outs. New sellers. And look at the scalpers off the Lonely Wick. Oh, they're cashing in too. It's a free-for-all. Oh, I got a designer mask for you. Oh, look at that. Hope you got out on some of that. Oh, leaving 40 pips on the table like that? Oh, man. So if I'm flat, buy limits, go back to sleep. In fact, I'm long already. I probably double clicked and put some in here, but you know, British pound, I just warn you, British pound, a lot of pips. And, you know, it could, you know, get very quiet too, but so that whole trade's played out. It's gone, one and done. Anyways, it's 51 minutes of nonsense. And there you go, British pound, playing back the old market. And I just thought of that robot idea. I think I'm on the fly here. So half the reason I think everybody should do, this is my version of what do they call them? Journal. Because I hate writing, so a video journal of insanity. And, you know, if you do, and what happens is after I do these things, I go, yeah, that would work. You know, I mean, it's the way to kind of think out loud. Look at my buy bot would be buying that right now. Oh, I just put in buy mode. And, you know, you could also, for the people that do think that, you know, hey, this is a 20 EMA on the weekly chart, sure, turn on your sell bots, because if you get the right, you know, you get it right there. The reason why I don't think I'd run the buy and sell bots simultaneously, because if the targets are swing orientated, I do want to buy in those plunges, and I don't really want to have to think about that trade. And I want to have some of the entry based on the fact that, wow, that's a good momentum sell-off. Like, that is such a brutal sell-off. Let me just buy that. Like, you know, hey, let me just get in. And I don't want, it's a lot of work to keep putting the limits in. Yeah, let the bot, you know, I'm looking at this chart, just turn on the buy bot. I know we're going down to this psycho plunge shit. And so that's also, somebody said, reading the market. Yeah, if you can see, oh, you know, that's going to be like, I'm willing to go on the long side when I can get a chance in there and build a position. And you know that this robot's capable of doing it because it has scalps in there to scalp out. And it also has so you're kind of saying, I read the market, I'm going to launch my bot that I think is appropriate for these conditions for this. And also, you know, maybe you're going to have to say, just run the 80 pip bot and the 50 pip bot. You know, that's when I think if you have these, and it's more work, but if you had selective bots, so this is when you would have, and you could do this. I'm sure this is doable. I'm not sure somebody write me the code. I need the source code so I can clone the bot, and then I can just make the 20 pip buy bot at the market, which is like, you probably couldn't get a human to do that because they'd be on coffee break or they'd be on Twitter. Like, you can't get them to come to work. You know, man, look at that pullback. Look at him retest that thing I was talking about. Look at him come all the way back to here and just nick the low of the day. My God. So all of the stuff that's gonna before we I don't know if we'll ever make it up here again. I'm sure that's a dream of the big boys' dreams up here for targets for buying down here, see? And I mean that's gonna be right. But how about this trade right here? The buy bot nailed it and you had limits placed here. And this you could manage, right? But I'm saying when if you're gonna be on this thing where every hour you're putting limits and trying to capture like mini wicks and mini auctions, microstructure auctions. Look at that. You made your 20 pips off of that. Look at that thing slam off the floor. Here's another example. Look how that reaction off of that floor. How brutal. You don't need the 1 minute chart for that. I don't know if you saw the ricochet off that thing. It came all this screaming back to there. But this is London. So we come down here. We grab the low of the day. We could take out the high of the day, but we don't have to. Hopefully you've taken something off the table already because you just came into the Asian. This is the Asian 20 pip order block. What the fuck? But look at that. That's a nice 4 to 20 pip, 40 pip winner there, isn't it? But the problem here is you got to keep on rinsing and repeating. Whereas the market bot is just buying. He's in buying mode, and you're like, yeah. Not to say the sell bot couldn't have made this, but your overall picture of what's really going to happen in the end has to matter. And then I think only a human can read the market. I mean, these robots are good for menial tasks, like make sure you got your mask on, the mask sensors that come with the free masks. I know everybody thinks this stuff's engineered and orchestrated, but you got to understand the feebleness of government. It's like having Biden trade your account. I mean, man, can I dress? Outlaw Halloween yet? I'm gonna dress up as Biden and just mumble through a mask. Trick or treat, trick or treat. Oh my God! But look at this psychodrama here. It's in wow. If you didn't get out here, you're like, damn, but see, here's the big thing is some people are like, they're long from here. They did not get out at the floor where they knew they should have after all that drama. And they're like, I'm fine. Well, I'm waiting. I'm good. And maybe they're trailing a stop. And maybe they trailed their stop to here. They got stopped out. They're like, dude, we're up. We're up fucking 10% this month. But if you've ever traded the markets for more than like a few months or years on an ongoing basis, you're like, well, wait a minute. What about all these trades? I know you filtered it to like, yeah, we got our moving average. We sold here. It's structure. Okay, we're waiting for it to take out this low. Like, I don't even know. Who are these people? So this is the robot playing back at the fastest speed possible. But the key here is the 20 pip grid. So this is called the 20 pip grid, 1 hour chart, British pound. The comment will be the 20 pip grid. I guess I could make a comment for the bars too. So these bars are my bars that are big bars on top. So you kind of see faintly the candles here. You can see the dojis for sure. Like here's a breakout of this little cluster here, But I say if you're going to do limits drops like this, and you're trying to buy this 20 pip window, you gotta be there. When the market's here, you got to drop those limits here to capture that move. Or, like I said, the market bot's going to buy this big down move with a wide stop, little down move, tight stop. He's in a 2 position. Here's Asia. We'll probably have to put our buy limits in here. And breakout, little trap here, and maybe come back here before we go up. So that's the thing, It's really about the execution, kind of over and over, trading over and over. Oh, looks like I'm not going to look back here. So the Asian breakout guys got it right. Never retested. Take your 20. Take your pips now. Sellers come in. And I'm sure we're banging into some kind of something up there. But the seller bots sold at the market. How much money are they going to make? Okay, wait. Let me zoom out a little bit. Oh shit, wrong mode. Let me zoom out a little bit. See what's gonna. Okay, so this is we're coming after that. Just took out the high of that. Now total engulf retrace. Right, back to the floor and then some. The people that held on, the greedy guys. Oh, loving it. Sellers on the top of that. Sellers up here, big time. So big time sellers up here. We could have sell banks up here galore. Waiting to got scalps built into that. And we've already scalped off of this rooftop 20 pips. And I'm talking about this right there. That's the order block right there, son, is what you're talking about. So we can't talk about that shit. You know, it's copyright infringement. You know, this is like Paris Hilton. She's going to copyright. That's hot. Back to the breakout wick. Wow. But big payoff there for the people. And the people that trade this last, like, wow. Man, those Asian breakout traders are like, yeah, that Asian breakout system, you got to work real good. I'm making myself like 80 pips on that. Yeah, you held on. It's for 80 pips. Oh, the buyback, 1 hour buyback bots. And of course, your robot that's with the 15 pip stop to make 15 pips did not make 80 pips either. Okay, zoom in a little bit now that we know where they're at structurally there. All right, sellers again. I'm going to buy. Right now I can see my trade. Let's put in buy limits here all the way down. Just walk away. Swear to God. You know, this doesn't matter. I'm going to double click into that or I'm going to hand place. So the nice thing about double click is once you have the 20 pip grid and you write 20 pip double click drops, and they're in my link to all there. If you look through there, they're called double clicks and there's drops. There's two different styles. There's double click stops too. But it's a lot of, you know, people would say, it is a lot of work. It's a different kind of work than like digging a ditch or something. But all this putting the tickets in and stuff, and you just kind of have to do it to make money. You got to put some orders in. But if you can find a way to put in 200 orders with one click, which you could write a script that literally launches 200 tickets all the way down and just be like, oh yeah, but I mean, putting an order in 500 pips deep that lasts for 15 minutes, which is the shortest expiration on these scripts. What's the point? Now, you could hand drop 30-minute, and this is all effort-based, or a double click. If I'm going to put a 30-minute ticket in, it's going to be double click because the chance of getting filled 20 pips deep in 30 minutes is, when the news comes out, it's possible. When things get very raucous, it's very possible. And so look at this thing just hemming and hawing in this kind of like debate zone. But I guess I got my limits down here right now. I can see I'm not into chasing the market either because I think it's more probability that if we do come below here, I would buy this whole window. And inside there will be pre-programmed, predetermined scalps. Okay, I'm buying there. And there's got to be a way to filter if it's if a greater than less than statement, I'm sure, instead of a robot, whatever it is, crude thing. But I haven't been to my email in a while. So I don't know. People send me some stuff in email, but the problem here is I ran out of memory on this computer. I'm still trying to get back to my other computer. And when I tried to run that robot he sent me, it destroyed the computer because apparently, I don't know how a MetaTrader strategy tester works, but apparently it has to load a lot of... The complexity of the robot makes it have to use up a lot of memory or RAM or something, so it just kind of just crashed. Because it's such a complicated... It was grid trading and throwing stuff out there, you know. Here we go. So that was my entry there, and I scalped my 20 pips. And now I'm hoping they take out the high of the day and just keep on going up here. And then, you know, people are going to say, well, obviously it's in an uptrend. Look at my 20 EMA, for God's sakes, right? It's fucking nailing it. Anyways, I could go on forever, but... So that's that. I'm going to post the grid, 20 pip grid. Now you can change to wherever you want. But it's really about shooting for how many pips you're trying to make. Figure out how much it costs. Is you're going to put a $20 stop, a $2 stop. I'd rather run a $3 stop 30 times at different price intervals than a hard stop, because it's just I can accept being, and this is the hardest thing to accept ever in my whole life, is that the world's not black and white. So this all or nothing approach to, well, I'm gonna make sure I'm really I know exactly what's going on so that I could buy and sell. You could have been a seller also on this thing, right? This window up here, you could have sold up here in this window, right? And you would be up 40 pips. Don't forget, if you sold here and you're still short, you are up 40 pips. Don't forget that trade either. So it's a two-way street, but all this stuff is really going to be the more effort, the more tickets, and compromising. So this all or nothing thing, because it's one thing to have a bias and say, I think it's going up. It's another thing, supposedly you're getting that right, and you're going to actually ask yourself to get the perfect pullback entry in the uptrend, because isn't that the trend trader's dream? I got the bottom pip pullback. A top became a bottom on the 1 hour chart one day on the euro versus the, what do people trade in, the Turkish lira. And look, I nailed it. Spread's about 18 pips when it's tight on that trade. You're on the 1 minute chart. Okay. So those kind of problems. All right, so try that. Bring up Strategy Tester. Figure out how you're going to, if you're going to day trade it, if you're going to week trade it, put up the 4 hour chart and say, you know what, it took me fucking 5 days to get filled in this trade, but it's worth 150 pips with a 50 pip stop. One ticket. It's not necessary to do that kind of trade anymore. That's kind of, I call that caveman trading. We've got MT4. Why do we need that? We got robots we can write that'll make dumb shit trades for us. No dumber than the trade we would do, Look at the people that held on. They're like, dude, I'm in this trade I'm sure on the weekly chart, this is like, you're like, dude, I'm holding this trade for 18 months. Look at that. Look at how big you're up on that. What are you up on this trade now? 300 pips now? How many pips? 200 pips here. You're up 200 pips. Look at that. Boom. Look at the end of the hour. You see that end of the hour stuff? As you take out the high, look at the panic here. Panic mode. Sell limits up here. Sell limits up there for the scalps. No brainer. Look at the robot just went long. I think the robot just went long. First trade, this moving average crossover system that came with, they put a 10K on long here. This is MetaTrader's robot. Swear to God. A free robot came with MetaTrader. Oh, wait. Please hold. Your call is very important to us. That's why we have another thing, just one more gripe here. When you call these places any place now, they got these sophisticated robots, and they're like, you know what? I'm not into it. It's as creepy as a mask. I don't know why it disturbs me so much, but I think it's like Ayn Rand said in the beginning of Atlas Shrugged, when she saw that clock. I didn't make it too far through Atlas Shrugged, but I tell you, there's a striking scene where Willie Geller looks up at the clock and he goes, I don't know, there's something wrong here. So, is it Willie Geller? It's not Uri Geller. That's somebody else. Yeah. Anyways, that's striking. That's a fractal thing too. Atlas Shrugged. You only got to read like the first 3 pages. You're like, I get I get it. It's like, everything's symbolically in front of you. What's going on? But that's but let that go, as they say. So here's the MetaTrader, the magic, but that is, I swear to God, I'm using a moving average crossover system, and it's losing money. Oh, that's not the only trade it did, but it's guaranteed to lose money. Look at that, beautiful. Robots don't work. There's proof. Robots and masks don't work. Okay. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Look at that seller. Look at that seller pack. Oh, we cashed in on that order block. It really does work. And I got even more tickets on this very tippity top. Look at that. Oh my God. That order block shit really, ICT was right after all. What the fuck? I shouldn't criticize anybody out there. Dab nabbit. Look at how much money he's making. Oh shit. And wow. The market bot's buying and I got limits down there. I would say my tickets start below this Lonely Wick right there. I'm buying that thing. Anyways, it goes on and on. It's a bottomless pit, man. You should be able to, if you rehearse this trading thing, if you get used to what could happen, you'll never be at a loss for trades because your toolbox. This is the big whatever. But look at that beautiful scalp off of that supply zone up there, or demand zone, whatever the fuck. Order block, dildo block, whatever the fuck. I mean, the terminology. Don't forget to sign up for my mentorship. It's free. But how to get angry and love it. Mentorship. Anyways, I'll be there in a minute. Okay, I gotta go get some. I gotta go see if I get shot by the police. I gotta go pick up my crackhead girlfriend.